Okay, we're live.
Tell everyone today is Thursday, the 11th of April. Thursday. Another day closer to the election of 2020. Another day closer to the defining moment that will determine whether we remain free as a representative form of government, constitutional representative republic, or whether we take giant steps towards socialism. Let's get out of the way the first thing. Obviously, today you've heard or seen that they have arrested Julian Assange. And he is going to be punished. But hopefully, he will be able to do more for us than they think they have accomplished by arresting him. You see, when he was arrested, when he should have been arrested was under Obama's administration. The world is different under President Trump. And it may be very well possible, and I'm saying may be very well possible, that Assange might be good for us, good for our cause. So with that, that's about all I have on him. Now, I want everybody today, if you have a question or a comment, would you please start getting them in now? I always feel bad when we start answering the questions, but the program's almost over. That's not fair to you. So if you have a question or comment, please send it in now. And then Mary Ellen will tell me it's here and we'll address it. Folks, I hate to keep whipping a dead horse. This election is everything to us. Everything. The whole foundational principles of our country are on the line in this election. Everything we hold dear is on the line with this election. And we have got to organize. We have got to organize. We've got to find people willing to dedicate themselves to a cause, to a purpose greater than ourselves. This is our time. This is the moment God has blessed us with. And if we ignore it or we deny it, then the curse will fall on each and every one of us, I fear. Now, I know some of you out there saying, well, we can't do it. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. It's frustrating, I know, because we're early. It's still early for the campaign season to be in full swing. And because it's early, there's not quite the heated interest. Excuse me, I had to get a drink of water. Because we're early, there's not the heated interest that will be there come election time. But the problem is, folks, by the time we get into the election and into the campaign season, we will have lost a lot of opportunities. Number one, we've got to find candidates now. Why? Because you've got filing deadlines for all of the congressional seats for Congress and the Senate. So we've got to be there in time with people to make the filing deadlines. That means we've got to be active now. The campaign with 100 candidates is simple. President Trump was elected in the Republican primary, I believe, my opinion, because of one major reason. The media. The media in concert with Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party. They thought President Trump, if he could win the Republican primary, it would be a shoo-in for Hillary. They never dreamed run a race before, somebody that has been in the construction business before, never been in politics, and then had a colorful past. Hillary knew that she could beat him. They knew he was the one that they wanted to run against. And that's why the media, during the Republican campaign, if you'll just think about it, the media gave all the oxygen in the room to Trump because they wanted him to be the candidate. And here's what I know. Some of you may doubt what I'm saying. Could it be that they wanted Trump to be the candidate? Well, let me assure you what I know in my heart is true. Hillary runs under the campaign process that I helped develop for the Clintons, for Bill. And one of the rules, one of the foundational rules of this system that they have used successfully for years is you always pick the candidate you want to run against. You understand what I just said? Hillary is going to do everything in her power to make sure that the Republicans are going to elect the candidate she wants to run against. And it'll be the one they think they can beat most easy. You still don't believe it. You think that's a good idea, but you can't prove it. Let me assure you I can prove it. Do you believe for 1 second that Hillary would allow the mainstream media to basically deify Trump in the Republican primary? Do you believe she would sit idly by and let him get all of the time in the media that he got? Do you? They had stuff then, folks, that they could have brought out against Trump, but they didn't. Why? Because they wanted him to be the candidate. And since they did that, the media, for all practical purposes, got Donald Trump elected as the Republican nominee. I'm sorry, it's the way it is. Now, why is that important to us today? We're going to do the same with our 100 candidates. 100 candidates. 100 people that are truck drivers, secretaries, doctors, nurses, just regular people with everyday jobs, everyday walks of life. You see, that's the people our founding fathers thought should be government. They should go in, serve their time, and then get back to their lives. That's where the whole concept of being in politics was a service. It was a public service. You did your public duty by running. And in those days, it was a tremendous, a great hardship on the families of the politicians, of the people that ran, because they had to give up their farms, their dairies, all of that. They had to go off and serve in Washington or in the Capitol. And then they served their 2 or 4 years, and then they went home, 2 or 6 years, and then they went home. That was the way it was meant to be. They set up the House of Representatives to where they had to run every 2 years. Why? Because number one, they wanted people to give up their everyday lives, to give up their farming, ranching, dairy, whatever, and go serve the people of their district. They made the district small so that the representatives of their district they could talk to, they could know. And that person would go and serve, and then when he did his time, he could come home and somebody else would go. It was every 2 years, so that they minimized keeping people away from their way of living. Then with the Senate, they set that up on 6 years. Why? Because they wanted it to be a more deliberative body that was not under campaign pressure from the day they go in office until the day they leave. They wanted them to be free for at least a number of years to be more sound in their judgments. That was the way it was meant to be. They never intended, ever in their wildest dreams, would they have wished upon this nation that there would be a class of people called professional politicians. There's no way they would. They had just come out of a society where they were oppressed. Now this ruling clique of people, this ruling group, they didn't want any part of it. The whole government was set up, what? To be for and by the people. This government, for it to work, it's supposed to be a reflection of the people to which it serves. The other thing they didn't want the federal government to get big. They wanted it to deal with making currency or dealing with our money and the military for defense. That was it. Matter of fact, they warned repeatedly over and over and over to keep the government small. We've blown that out of the book. Then, they also had two classes of people that they did not want anywhere to do with government. Two classes. One was witches. They had more witches because they were solidly Christian people. But the other was a group called barristers. Barristers means lawyer in that day. They didn't want lawyers in our government because they felt like if lawyers got in, they would simply pass laws to benefit their customers. And they also felt that lawyers did not contribute anything to society. They didn't grow anything. They didn't make anything. The only way they would exist would be getting with somebody to, sue somebody else and take theirs, and then they get a cut of it. They were not held in high esteem. I don't think any of us hold them in that high of esteem even today. But we have a government that is saturated with lawyers. And we're paying the price. But using Hillary's strategy on Trump in 2016 during the Republican primary, we're going to use it with our 100 candidates because the DNC and the media are going to think, what a joke. How on earth could a nurse, how on earth could a truck driver, how on earth could a delivery man, whatever kind of regular job there is, how on earth can they get to Congress, get to Washington? It's just not possible. So therefore, they're going to want our candidates to win the primary because they're going to want to run against us. They think it will be another shoe-in. They're going to breathe the life into our primary campaigns. They are. We're going to use them. The fact that we're running 100 candidates under a single banner, never socialism, and syndicating that banner, syndicating that campaign, is newsworthy. It's never been done before. We're going to match their first time in history to have a sitting president who's trying to run for re-election while being in the process of being impeached. That's a first-timer. Well, we're going to have another first-timer. First time there have ever been a whole lot of candidates running a unified campaign. Now, I know you may not know how that will work. I do. Although it's never been done, I have spent years formulating and working out how to do it. And when it's time, we'll do it. Right now, we need the 100 candidates. 100 candidates. Can you help me get them? Then, we need one other thing. We need to be, by election time, by the time the campaign is underway, doesn't mean the day it starts, but while it's underway, because there will be an impeachment of Trump going on. We need 1,000 people. That's all. 1,000 people in our army. An army that will be a mobile infantry army. Black Force, mobile infantry company. And what that means is we want to be able, at a moment's notice, alert this 1,000 people and give them the phone number, the name of the congressman or senator that they're calling, and the script they're going to read. 1,000 people. And they're going to do 10 phone calls today. With each call, less than 2 minutes. Reading a script so you don't have to come up with any words of your own. You simply have to read the script and hang up. Can you do that? Can you? The answer to that is yes. And we'll take 1,000 and use force multiplication. We'll make our 1,000 seem to the politicians like it's 1,000,000 or more. But we got to have the 1,000. So are you in? Are you one of our army? And then the third thing that we need, we have to have money. Not a lot. We don't have a big staff. We're not an organization, with 100 people that have salaries. It's nothing like that. The staff, basically, is Mary Ellen and me. But we've got to have funds. We've got to do things, and we've got to get in the habit of knowing what we've got coming in per month so we can gauge the things that must be done. And in that category, of course, there comes the T-shirts and all the other things that we need to publicize what we're doing. The T-shirts, as I have told you, it's not just a T-shirt. It's a walking billboard with a specific design. The design is to make people, when you're out wearing it, to make people come up and ask you about it, ask you what it means, or whatever the conversation will be. But it's a conversation starter. And as we get more of the shirts out, and we have more samples of what the people come up and ask, then folks, we're going to tell you what you say to them. The best things to say. So are you with us? Are you? We're coming up on a defining moment. We're coming up on a time when we're either going to win or lose this country. And I assure you, we're not going to be able to sit back and do nothing and expect to win. You see, there's another problem. If President Trump gets defeated in 2020, you can put this in the bank. If he gets defeated in 2020, the Senate will also turn Democrat. You get that? Did you get it? The Senate will flip to Democrat control. Then they'll have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And their goals of turning this nation into a socialist form of government will be nothing for them to do. It'll require little effort. Are you with us? Marilyn, anybody with a question?
Yes, sir. All right, I've got to scroll back up and see. There are lots of questions about Assange. Can you expound? Is his arrest intentional to silence us, or do you think Trump will use Assange to bust the cabal?
Well, I don't know. So this is something that I can't tell you with absolution because I don't know.
Do you think he's going to be extradited?
I'm sorry?
Do you think he will be extradited?
Pretty sure. We have an extradition treaty with England. So I would guess, since they've arrested him and the warrants are outstanding from America, I believe they will. But again, this is a subject matter that's outside of my pay grade. This is stuff that I'm not involved with.
Okay, here's another.
I'm seeing on TV right now that I'm a lawyer for Stormy Daniels, a lawyer, and he built a paraplegic out of $4 million. See, that's the kind of stuff we're up against. That's it. What you got? What else?
Okay, why don't you ever say anything about Trump trying to confiscate guns by the red flag laws?
Well, one of the reasons I don't say anything about it is because I don't know that much about it, and number two, I don't believe he's doing it. I can assure you President Trump has no intention of confiscating our weapons. None. None. I don't know, and I don't understand this red flag law stuff. I haven't looked into it, so forgive me for being ignorant about that, but I can say this. Trump's not going to take your weapons away. He's not going to take your guns away. No way. In any legislation, he has sworn, any legislation coming to his desk to be signed that involves taking your guns away, he's sworn to veto it.
Okay, Trump could reverse the catch and release. It is nothing more than a presidential directive. He keeps acting like it's a law, but it's not. And we're going to have 1.5 million illegals here by the year end.
Well, without giving away something that he's planning to do, I will tell you this. One of the reasons that Nielsen has left the DHS, one of the reasons is this very point here. He fully intends to get rid of catch and release. I can't tell you the way he's going to do it. That's up to him. But I can promise you that was one of the issues with her. And he knows. Well, I'll say this. They have thrown a couple of test cases out there, which, of course, the Ninth Circuit has stayed. And what he does not want to do with doing away with catch and release, he doesn't want to do it in such a way that the Ninth Circuit is going to shut it down before it even gets going. Trust me, Trump is more keenly on top of the illegal immigration and drug traffic and everything else coming across that border than anybody I know. I mean it. Anything else, Mariana?
Somebody thinks that all charges against everyone arrested in Russiagate will be freed and paid well. Do you think Trump will help Assange?
I just saw flash on the screen from Fox. Now Trump says he knows nothing about that Assange case, and I would believe that. I believe at this point he does not know that much about it. But I can assure you, within no time, if there's any way to use Assange to help bust up this criminal syndicate that has control of Washington, President Trump will do it. Now, about this Russiagate and the people that have been and are going to be indicted and prosecuted, we hope. There's going to be people serving time. That's going to happen. But now you need to remember also that some people, even though they're going to be found guilty or should be found guilty, like Hillary and possibly even Comey, I don't look that they will be allowed to serve prison time. And it's a national security issue, and I don't think they will be allowed to be put in prison, even a minimum security prison. I don't know. But from the history and from past things I've worked on, it's not that they're going to get off scot-free. They are not. But it is dangerous to the security of the nation to have people like that thrown into the prison population. Too much information is available that could hurt our country. So that's my opinion on that. What else, Mariel?
Okay, somebody said the red flag laws is when they think you're crazy, and so you're not allowed to have a gun.
To my knowledge, President Trump is against that. I didn't know that's what you called it, but anyway, to my knowledge, and I will double check it, but I'm fairly certain, because I do know about the fact that they're going to fix it to where if somebody just calls up the police and says, you're a nut, just because they're mad at you or don't like you, then the police are going to have to come and confiscate your guns until you resolve it in court. Trump's not for that. He's not. I repeat, he's not going to let the government touch our guns. He's not going to do it.
Right.
Now, there may be part of that law, Mary Ellen, there may be part of that law, since I don't know the details of the law totally. There may be part of the law that he wants, and that may be giving people the impression that he's behind red flag laws. But I assure you all, whoever's putting that out is wrong. President Trump will not let the government take our guns. They will not allow it.
Okay, this person is saying Rubio and Graham have it in the Senate. It's SB 7. So we'll just have to look up SB 7.
Well, we have to look it up. So it's Mark Rubio is part of bringing that on the floor.
Yeah, he and Graham.
You know, that would go further to show us what Rubio is.
Yep. Okay, another question.
No constitutional senator or congressman, not a one, that truly honors the oath they swore to take office and have any part of this, much less co-sponsor.
Yeah. Okay, another question. If Obama is convicted of treason, will that mean his executive orders will be rescinded?
No. Will not. Executive orders stand until they're just overruled or changed.
Yeah, but part of the problem with these red flag laws is a lot of the states are passing them.
Well, now that, with that going on, that's not Trump. That is not Trump.
Right.
And people in the states where this kind of trash is being brought out and brought up and put on the docket, the people of the state have got to shut that kind of stuff down. And you can.
So that's all the questions that I've seen so far.
All right. All of these, like this red flag thing and catch and release, what I've tried to warn is the progressive Democrats are trying to take a little piece here, a little piece there, out of the Constitution. They go out and try to take some little piece out of the Second Amendment. And their goal, much like they did with abortion. Now this is how the progressives work. They take their time. They have been willing to wait their time. Now meticulously and methodically they work to get abortion.
And that's why we need to learn from that tactic. And that's why you see these heartbeat bills being passed, but states like Oklahoma and Texas are going for complete abolition, are not winning. North Dakota, I heard that North Dakota's governor this morning signed a bill saying that there could be no more dismemberment during an abortion.
Well, I would like to see laws passed, quite honestly, even a presidential executive order, making it illegal for Planned Parenthood to sell body parts of the aborted babies. You know, that's how you stop them. You cut them off from their money. Stop giving federal money. Stop giving our dollars to Planned Parenthood. And then make it illegal for them to profit by the death of these babies. That's so wrong. It's so wrong you can't even categorize it. I mean, that's sick. That is sick. But if you shut that down and if you shut the funding, then Planned Parenthood will die off. The only reason they're doing it, the only reason Planned Parenthood is what it is because of the money it's able to generate. Generate by the deaths of babies. It's one of the saddest stories that can be told about the United States of America, that we would allow that at any level, state or federal.
I have a question. Now, the ACLU is suing some of these states because of their heartbeat bills.
Right.
I remember when we were calling the Governor Perry of North Carolina on the voter ID, and we told him to tell his AG to keep it out of court. Don't need to ask permission of the court. And if you had said that if the state legislation or state legislators passed a bill, then it should stand without having to go into the court. So what happens now with these heartbeat bills that the ACLU is suing the state over it? How do they get away with doing that rather than just being allowed to stand on the law?
Mary Ellen, the point I was trying to make with that voter ID bill was, if you'll recall, I said when they get sued and they're subpoenaed to go to court, just say thank you, I'm not going. Remember?
Yeah.
Don't go. Because if that governor, which I think he did, if he goes into court, he got talked in by his attorney general, because going into court, the minute you walk into federal court, you lost. You lost. Nowhere does the Constitution say that judges, state or federal, that judges shall make all laws. Do they? Does it?
No.
Who does it say makes all laws?
The U.S. Congress and the state legislations.
There you go. But the way it stands now, our Congress passes a law, the president signs it, and then the ACLU or any of these wingnut organizations file the lawsuit, and the government goes into federal court, and they lose. So don't go. Don't go. Let them threaten you. Let them threaten you with contempt. I find it contemptuous that they dare to overrule with a stroke of a pen the duly elected and authorized bodies of government to create laws. I find that in contempt of our Constitution. Isn't it funny when states declare that they're a sanctuary state and basically go against the federal government. See, on our side, when they do that, they form, when a state says they're going to be a sanctuary state and they are not going to live by the contracts that they have with the federal government. Now, what do I mean there? When a lot of these states or counties or cities declare themselves sanctuaries and then refuse to work with ICE, the government entity that's supposed to be working on this, nobody on our side sues them. We don't. But the minute something's done, the other side comes in and sues and throws it into court. This is all wrong. This is one of the things that we've got to win and defeat in 2020. We should no longer allow federal judges or even state judges to dictate what laws Congress can or can't pass. It's absurd.
So
just add that to the list of stuff that's just unbelievable.
So it seems to me that it would be really good. We have a really strong group of people, you know, Pastor Sanders, Coach Dave, and his whole team, who have been working towards the heartbeat bill in Ohio. It seems that it would be really good to let those people know that it needs to stay out of court. They know courts that ACLU is going to sue about it, and they need to be informed on how to stay out of court so they can pressure their governor not to let it go to court and just ignore the court, ignore the lawsuit.
I agree, and I guess that's something I should do with my relationship with them. I should point that out.
Yeah,
and I will.
Okay, I'll get in touch with Coach. You know Uri's number, so Coach has a big conference this weekend, so we'll have to wait till next week to do it. Okay, one more question. Does Trump know anything about the forced vaccine situation? I read today that they're trying to force vaccines on adults in New York now.
I have not asked anybody specifically in Washington, people I know, I have not asked about that subject, but I will. I will. As far as I know, they're claiming this disease, measles, mumps, whatever, they've had an outbreak. And I think what they've done is they've said, any kid that has not had the vaccinations, they don't want them in public buildings, they don't want them in public schools anyway. So it's a little crazy. But I do not know whether President Trump is going to get involved or not. I just don't know. This is one of those things where you get down to, this is a real issue. It's a real issue. Number one, if you do have an outbreak of a disease, and it could spread, and you're trying to hold the outbreak, limit its spreading, I see that. I do. I see it. But then, for the government to force parents to have to give their children vaccines, that's wrong. I see that. It's wrong. So this is one of those issues that needs to be dealt with, not in court, but within the legislatures that control the district or the area. But instead of doing that, I assure you what's going to happen is going to be dealt with in court.
A big question that came up in our call this morning was the issue of the 5G. Trump keeps talking about how great 5 and 6G is. And maybe for the technology of it, it might be. But Israel has decided that they're not going to allow 5G in their country. And there are a lot of people who are very worried about the amount of radiation that comes off of that and what that will do, cancer and so on, health-wise. And
once again, this is something I do not know a positive answer to. you know, I'm just going to say I hope reasonable people get to Trump, are allowed to tell him the truth, and whatever the truth is, if it's harmful, if it's, you know, spreading radiation to unacceptable levels, I hope he is informed of that, and he needs to deal with it accordingly. But so often, folks, what you find is somebody like President Trump lives in a bubble. And what he knows about, what he gets involved with, depends on the people in his staff and whether or not they get him the information, or even if they decide that it's something he needs to deal with. So a lot of times we blame President Trump, but you know, he doesn't even get the information brought to him. Usually it doesn't come until it's out of control, and then he hears about it in the media, and then he has to address it. But I'd be lying to y'all if I told y'all I knew much about the 5G or 6G. If I told you I knew much about it, because I don't. Remember, there's just a world of stuff, guys, I don't know about. You know, I'm not Mr. Know-it-all. There's certain areas that I do know, and I know it well. So please forgive me if I'm ignorant on some issues. And I would ask the same for the president. Excuse him if he's ignorant on some issues, that it needs to be blamed on his staff or his consultants, the people he gets his advice from, if they don't bring it to his attention and make it an issue.
I have heard, and somebody is saying it here, that Trump's Florida resort, Mar-a-Lago, is not going to have 5G. So somebody knows about it.
Here again, I don't know that that's true. Remember, a lot of stuff that we hear on the internet does not necessarily end up being factual. I don't know.
Yep.
And I do need to warn you all again. Sometime in the campaign, and it will be close, reasonably close to the election, it is my understanding from the people in Washington that I talk to, the guys, that Google, YouTube, Twitter, whatever else there is,
Facebook,
they intend to shut the internet absolutely, totally down on any conservative Christian programs. They intend to shut it down. Now, I've understood, I don't know if it happened, but who's the senator from Texas? My mind just went blank. Oh, good heavens. She's got a beard now.
Cruz?
Help me, Mary Ellen, the senator from Texas.
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz. My understanding that Ted Cruz is going to try to introduce legislation to bust up the monopolies with the internet. Now, that is the proper way to go about this. These internet companies have truly a monopoly. And just like with AT&T and Southwestern Bell and other companies that had monopolies, the government had to come in and bust them up. Cruz is going to, I understand he's going to introduce legislation to bust up some of this monopoly stuff with the internet. And that's the only way we're going to be able to get close to having a fair internet. Now, I've heard people say, well, leave it alone and long in the internet business, 20 years is young in the life of things, and corporate world. And so it will take care of itself. Folks, we don't have time for it to take care of itself, even if it is going to take care of itself. After November 2020, some things are going to be over if we don't win. And I assure you, as they introduce us, if they win, if Trump loses, I assure you, as they introduce us to the different aspects of socialism and bring it in on us, you can bet they're not going to allow the internet or anybody else, no one in the mainstream media, not even Fox, they're not going to allow anybody to cause trouble. They're not. And my point about what Cruz is trying to do, I don't think anything can be done legislatively in time to protect this election season. And the bad guys know it. And they're using that. That's why they'll delay until the last possible moment to clamp down on the internet so that there's no conceivable way a ruling could be made in time to open it back up for this election in 2020. See, that kind of stuff scares me. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, couldn't President Trump sign an executive order forcing them to open back up? The answer to that is, I don't know. I think he could sign such an order. But it would be challenged in court immediately, and I don't know how it would hold up since these are private corporations or private companies and have the right to refuse to do business with anybody they choose, number one. And number two, even if Cruz passes in the Senate something to block the shutdown of cable in this campaign, it will not clear the House. So to be able to negotiate some agreement between the House and the Senate to achieve this goal are impossible, virtually impossible. I mean, guys, this is what I'm telling you, we're in trouble. We're in trouble deep. Unless every one of you, every single one of you, light a fire inside yourself and say, no, no more. Every day when you wake up, when all of us, every day when we wake up, we lose another freedom. Some are big, most are small, but they're just picking at us, just picking away, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. But we're losing freedom every day, unless we stop it. And folks, it's absolutely squarely, 100% squarely in our hands to stop this madness. Nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else can do it. We've got to do it. You, me, all of us. Any other questions, Mary Ellen?
Well, I was just gonna make a suggestion. Right now, when we are waiting for an assignment to get busy with, our voices individually calling Congress members is not going to have a big impact. We're certainly welcome to voice whatever we want to voice. We have the right to do that. Probably won't have much of an impact just calling individually. So while we're in this transition or waiting time for something to happen that you will call us to action, this is the time that we spend more time, the time that we would take 20 minutes a day, that we would take making phone calls. Let's spend that time in prayer. Let's spend that time in our own repentance, calling on God to do like what you called us to do in 2016, You know, Second Chronicles 7:14, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear, forgive their sin, and heal their land. And we need God to heal the land with all that's happening to it. But it behooves us to follow the four things that he sets out are the reasons for him to heal and hear. So
now, in this time that we're waiting, this is when you should be helping us recruit people and find that thousand. Each and every one of you, most of you, many of you, I'm going to say most, many of you have Facebook accounts. Have you on your Facebook sent out to your friends or whatever you call them? Have you sent out for them to join us?
I've done it about six times this week, and I've had 3 people say that they are considering running, but nobody has gotten back to me with a positive. So I just keep putting
I'm
it.
not just talking about running for office. I'm talking about seeking people to come join our army.
Well, I
Join
do.
our army.
Yeah, I do that every day, and I think we've got other people who do that every day as well.
Well, that's good, but that's not everybody.
So this video.
You don't have to browbeat people with your Facebook to your friend thing. You don't have to browbeat people.
Just share this. Just share this so that and it's something that you've listened to. You're recommending it, so share it. Share it on Facebook. Share it on Twitter. Share it anywhere else you can, possibly do it. Maybe even in an email or a text message to somebody. Give the link.
And if y'all haven't figured it out by now, I use a technology called keyword. Every time you hear this program, every time, I try to give you something that you can put out on your Facebook to your friends, some subject, something. Every time I try to do that, I try to give you some key information. It may not be much to you. It may be something you've heard or but there are an awful lot of people that don't. Use it. Today, what did I tell you today that you could use to inform your friends? What did I tell you? What stuck in your mind of something I said today? Was it about the internet shutting down? Was it what? I try to give you hints, ideas. I try to give you things you can say.
Well, Larry, one of the things we can do based on what we heard you say today is anybody who lives or knows someone who lives in a state that has passed a heartbeat bill, they need to, or even, Alabama that's outlawed it altogether. We need to contact the people in those states that we know and tell them to put out the word to their state representatives and call their governor's office that they do not need to go to court. They need to ignore the court.
Great. All right, now guys, we're almost out of time. I need 500 of you today. 500 to send $1 through PayPal. Can you do it? 500 of you send $1 through PayPal. 500. Now, you're saying, well, golly, that generates $500. Yes, it does. Needed very badly. But I tell you what it does also do. It tells me I've got half of my army ready to go. There will be more than 500 of you listening to today's program. I know that. Will you do that? Can you find it in your heart to make that move? That move. 100
Well, one of the
search yourself and find out. Can you find out within yourself today whether or not you can send $1? Just $1.
Can you tell them what we'll use the money for?
No, we just use it. That's not.
It gets used very quickly for this cause.
Yes, it does. But I need to know if there's 500 people that are willing to engage. Now, PayPal account, you probably heard it so many times that you know it or heard it, but it's Nichols live at AOL.com. Somebody, ding my finger right now, if you will, somebody send $1 now so I can tell you whether somebody's even hearing it. Daniel, Nichols live at AOL.com. We're going to build this army. We're going to build it with or without you. But I need you to be in it. I do. I need you to be in it. So with that, folks, anything else to add?
Today's Thursday, so we're going to have a conference call in just a few minutes, and the number is 712-451-0725. The access code is 492-215#. We're going to spin off of what Larry has said and talk a little more about just brainstorm ideas for getting recruits, for talking to people with the t-shirt, ways to fundraise to get the money if you don't have it to buy the t-shirt, and so on. So we're gonna do some brainstorming in just a few minutes on the conference call. So feel free to join us.
All right, folks. That's it for the day. 500 of you, $1. And that's half the dollars in one day. With that, I'll say goodbye, good day to y'all.
Thanks, folks. Bye.